Our film begins with Natalia on her way to the hospital with her mother as she's about to give birth. When they arrive, there's only one doctor who delivers the baby. As soon as the baby is born, it floats in the air as if there is no gravity. The baby continues to float until Natalia takes him into her arms. As soon as she can get up, she escapes the hospital without giving them any information about herself or her son. She goes back home, and her mother warns her that the child must never leave the house and that no one should ever know about the special gift he was born with. Her mother asks about the baby's father, but Natalia says she doesn't know who he is. They decide to raise him together and name him Oscar. Their neighbors come to visit the newborn, fearing that Oscar's secret will be revealed and he will be in danger. His family ties him to the bed until the visit is over. They begin to prepare the house for Oscar's unique condition, padding the walls with blankets so he doesn't bump into anything. They also spread the rumor that he has a sun allergy, so he won't have to leave the house. Years pass, and Oscar grows up without anyone knowing his secret. Natalia makes him a special jacket with iron weights so he won't float. When it's time for him to start school, his grandmother objects, arguing that leaving the house and mingling with others would put him in danger. One day, Oscar thinks about escaping through the window. Natalia and his grandmother hear a sound, and they see the window is open and shaking. Thinking he flew away, they are relieved to find him sitting on top of the closet. He tells them he was scared and fell off the table. His grandmother decides to nail all the windows shut so he won't try again, but his mother objects to keeping him locked up. Natalia takes Oscar out in the middle of the night so he can see the street for the first time. She teaches him to walk normally because he spends most of his time at home flying. She also takes him out during the day so he can see everything he wants. The neighbors are surprised to see Oscar finally out of the house, especially in broad daylight. Natalia goes into a store, telling Oscar to wait for her outside. While playing in the street, he bumps into a little girl, dropping the things she was carrying. She tells him that since he bumped into her, he should help carry her things home. He walks with her and learns that her name is Agatha. They walk for a long time, and Oscar gets tired from the iron weights in his jacket and from carrying Agatha's bottles. He decides to throw away the weights so he can move faster. Once they get to her house, Oscar refuses to give her things back. She takes them from him by force, and he floats up to the roof. Thinking he's Superman, Agatha gives him her school backpack with her book inside so he can wear it and not fly away. He makes her promise not to tell anyone his secret. He wanders around trying to find his way home until nightfall. His mother is worried sick, and his grandmother is out looking for him in the street. When he gets home, he tells his mother he got lost and met Agatha, who gave him her bag. His grandmother returns with the iron weights she found on the ground. The incident blows over, and Oscar and Agatha become friends, spending time together. For Halloween, Natalia makes Oscar a costume shaped like an angel, but he's annoyed, saying it looks bad, and that he wanted a Batman costume like his favorite hero. He goes out to play with Agatha. When Natalia finds out that Agatha knows Oscar's secret and that he can fly, she tries to keep them apart so he doesn't get into trouble. Agatha goes to her grandmother and tells her that Oscar isn't playing or studying with her anymore because he's not even in school. This leads Agatha's grandmother to call the police and report that a child is being kept from school. The police come to investigate, and Natalia is forced to enroll Oscar in school to avoid trouble. But she's afraid for her son and decides to move and leave their home to get away from everyone she knows. Years pass, and Oscar grows up living with his mother, Natalia. His grandmother passes away, and Oscar keeps Agatha's backpack all these years, resigned to his secluded life. He talks to his mother many times about revealing his gift to the world, hoping people will love him and that someone will write a book about him and call it Oscar the Miracle. One day, he sees an advertisement for a show called The People, which specializes in showcasing supernatural talents. He decides to apply without his mother's knowledge. He leaves her a note saying he's sorry for running away and that he'll call her soon. He goes on the show and appears on television, and his mother watches him fly in front of all the viewers. Overnight, Oscar becomes famous and the talk of the town. A famous agent, Mr. David, comes to him and says he can introduce him to the world in the best possible way. He asks for a 10% cut of anything Oscar earns. David impresses him with all the advantages he can offer. He suggests a stage name other than Oscar and calls him the Gravity Man. Oscar signs a partnership contract with David, who starts exploiting him. He gets him a new apartment and introduces him to the world as the Gravity Man. His signature is Agatha's backpack. He becomes more and more famous, and tickets to his shows sell out. Oscar calls his mother to show her his success, but she remains afraid for him because of his fame. David starts to control him, and even tells him what to say. His mother tries to check on him, but he avoids her and even hangs up on her. Natalia sees that their hometown has become a tourist attraction. The town forged school records for Oscar and displayed a backpack they claim was the first one he ever wore. A TV host starts talking about his mother, calling her a crazy, possessive mother who imprisoned her son for years. Oscar is upset by what he hears. David tells him that any talk about him, even if it's a lie, only helps his fame. But Oscar is angry about what was said about his mother, and tells David he's tired of what he's doing, and wants to quit all the shows. David manages to tempt him by telling him he's arranged for a writer to write a book about Oscar's life, just as he always wanted. They go to meet the writer and publisher. Oscar takes out his diary, which he wants to be the book, but he's surprised when the publisher and writer decide to change his story and add fictional, distorted events. He refuses. David tries to convince him that the book will make him even more famous. After Oscar objects, David tries to fix what he did by bringing Natalia to his home to check on him. But when his mother sees him, she finds that he's sad and not happy, even though he's achieved fame, friends, and money. The first thing Oscar tells his mother is that his contract with David is too long, and that he's tired. His mother attends one of his live shows, and he's wearing an angel costume, similar to the one he wore as a child, which upsets him even more. He shouts at everyone at the show, ruining it. David fights with Oscar because of what he did. Finally, Oscar tells David he's had enough and that he has become nothing more than a puppet for the audience. He says he won't do any more shows. If David tries to stop him, he'll make sure the last thing they hear about him is that he died, and the media will report that the Gravity Man has died, with his cause of death unknown. The news that Oscar is dead spreads on all the channels. Oscar goes back to his mother's house and locks himself inside. His mother refuses to give any interviews to the press or investigators. As time passes, his mother passes away, and Oscar lives alone. He decides to appear in public as a different person who uses a wheelchair. He gets a job as a receptionist at a suspicious hotel. One day, Oscar sees in the newspaper that David was arrested for his debts and may be imprisoned for 5 years. One day, Oscar remembers that a hotel guest has a problem and goes up to check on her. When he goes back to the front desk, he finds the guest behind him, calling him Oscar. He tells her he's not Oscar, and that she must have mistaken him for someone else. She introduces herself as Agatha, his friend from when they were little. They go out together, and she asks him why his death was announced on television. He tells her he decided to return to his simple life. She asks if he has ever loved anyone during his long journey. He says he only loved once, and it was his first friend. She realizes he's talking about her. She ends their meeting so she won't hurt him because she's a working girl, and he knows that. One day, she calls Oscar at the hotel to come up to her room. He tells her he loves her, and will always see her as the most beautiful woman and the first love of his life. They start a relationship. Oscar decides to help David and transfers the money he needs to pay off his debt to avoid prison. Agatha can't quit her job because she hates poverty and thinks Oscar is poor like her. She fights with him because she can't keep doing what she does while loving him. They decide to separate. Oscar returns to his old home, where there's a statue of him from when he was famous and the house was a tourist attraction. He looks at his empty home and imagines his mother's voice teaching him to fly and his mother and grandmother studying with him. He decides to live in his old home. Agatha comes to his house and gives him the backpack he left at the hotel before he left. They live together in his home. He decides to get a simple job where he can use his gift to make people happy while disguised. He decides to become a high-rise window washer, dressed as his favorite hero, Batman. This is the end of the summary. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive all new updates. See you soon in a new video. Goodbye.